Happy to have you here. How has your morning been?
I'm a mom of a 4- and a 5-year-old, so you can only imagine.
So this is calm for you?
This is as calm as my day is going to get.
Respiration. So you will be talking about virtual reality and so on, and just connecting to that family situation. I'm curious, did you have a virtual coffee or a real coffee this morning?
Neither one, but neither one I had time with, but I would have liked a virtual anxiolytic for now, but I'm going to talk about that more later.
Super, thank you.
So I'm going to talk about virtual reality as a tool for solving real-life problems in healthcare, mainly psychiatry, where I work. And before I do that, I'm going to show a movie, a bit about power of virtual reality. And I apologize ahead because there's a lot of swearing in it. I started a VR experience and realized I need to film this because I have a feeling that it's going to be very powerful. And if you have some issues in your life that concern palliative care, this could be triggering. It's a trigger warning, so you are free to close your eyes or browse your phone. I will not be offended. So let's start the movie.
Får vi se vad vi ska göra här. Ja, då är vi tillbaka på sjukhuset. Man blir alltid van till det.
Room 420 is coding. Maybe this time we'll finally let go. Grab that kitten. Let's go see if we've lost it.
Fan, jag vill inte vara kvar här.
Rapid response team needed second floor pediatric wing, room 254.
Jag vill inte vara här. Nej. Nej, jag vägrar. Nej, du ska inte få bort mig.
Chaos inside of one's own emotions. I'm almost crying at this, point thinking about it. And then my own behavior. Like, why was I okay with taking the lives of the elderly? I could have said no. Later on, I found out when I replayed that a few times that you could say no and move on. But I still thought that, okay, death wanted me to do this. But I was very adamant on not doing it to the child. And then it brought my own set of thoughts. Why am I acting this way? Why does it feel this way? And in a lot of ways, it also works on cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's a very powerful emotional tool. And you probably all heard it being used in that way for treating phobia, for doing these things that treat fear of heights, fear of spiders, but it's such a broader tool than that, as you could see here. And I think it really is the new doctor's bag. I walk around with my heavy black Oculus and Vive bag, and in there are tools to help and contribute to all types of psychiatric and psychological, psychodynamic, psychoanalytical therapies. And I'm going to give you a few cases why that is so. This technology is not new. It's been around since the 1960s. It's been researched on quite a lot. But only now are we seeing a boom in implementation, and you can guess why. It's become much easier and much cheaper. Our graphic cards that used to cost 120,000 kronas now cost around 3,000 at Webhallen for the same computing power. And there are going to be a lot of older studies, and they are there, not because I don't research newer ones, but to really push that this is nothing new, and there is a lot of evidence, and we need to start implementing. But the best experiences don't really come from us in healthcare. They come from indie developers and artists, as I've noticed. For example, here, Jennifer Canary-Nikolova created Labyrinth Psychotica, is one of my favorite examples. She had a sister-in-law that committed suicide because she suffered from psychosis. Psychosis is a very difficult symptom where you have visual and auditory hallucinations, but you're not just battling that for the function of your life, you're battling people's prejudices about who you are and what your condition is. These Hollywood notions that you are a crazy danger, that you are not intelligent. Well, you're a very intelligent, sensitive being, and the voices are telling you to kill yourself more than other people. So she created this labyrinth with mixed reality to show her sister-in-law's symptoms. And other patients thought that it was so telling that they started bringing their families and their doctors, and now it's a part of medical training to bring more empathy to what it feels like to have an actual psychosis. Another study from more than a decade ago is using these 3D environments. Here is a hospital, an inpatient care unit, where they created it, a copy of it in 3D, creating a virtual reality experience where they could listen to patients and recreate their visual and auditory hallucinations so that they could get the tools to, inside the hospital, meet all of these and train on combating them and gaining more power and control over them. Of course, they wouldn't get cured, but they at least had tools to function with them. Another favorite of my examples is body swapping, which you couldn't do without the virtual reality headset. So here we have a gender swap experience where two people look at each other's bodies and they do simultaneous tactile stimulation, and after a while the other person's body starts feeling like your own. This is commonly used in the working with anorexia. So it's not a treatment strategy, but rather a lot of patients, not all, but a lot, are not aware of their own symptoms. They don't see themselves as thin. They don't see that they're wasting away, but measure themselves or adapt their measurements to more bigger sizes. So to get them to adhere to treatment, it's very difficult to get someone if they don't know that they're sick. So they do this technology where they let them try a very well-trained 22 BMI body, and they say, is this person skinny? Yes, the patients say, and then they try the glasses, they do the tactile stimulation, they take off the glasses and realize, wow, even this person that I thought was very skinny is bigger than me. So they start giving their measurements more accurately and adhering more to treatment. Another interesting area where this is really great is in addiction. The company Virtually Better has been around for a long time, as you can see by the equipment. They do exposure therapy for different addiction. Here a patient is having his stress measured and going into a virtual bar, learning how to say no to alcohol together with a therapist. In the University of Houston Graduate School of Work, their social workers realized that we can wash the patient clean of substances, but that's not going to be enough because they're going to go back to their environment. And that is a big trigger. And we cannot expect people to just change their lives over one night. You say goodbye to all of the friends and family they love, which are triggering. So they created these heroin dens, apartments where they can go with the patient, and they have a mixed reality shot that they can feel on their skin and learn to say no, giving the tool to be stronger within themselves. And for practical, obviously practical and ethical reasons, a therapist can't go into a heroin den with a patient. So this is thanks to virtual reality. And more commercialized treatments are coming. For example, this Kickstarter company, Mindcatine, where you use mindfulness-based therapy, an app, and a booklet to do a VR treatment of nicotine addiction at home. One of the pioneers in this area is military-based PTSD training. Already since the late 80s, early 90s, Scott Rizzo has been working with both veterans and active soldiers who suffer from PTSD, people who need to go back there and face it. And one of the PTSD categories we don't talk so much about is civilian PTSDs. While soldiers might need to go back to their calling, to their job, we hope a civilian PTSD patient never experiences war again, or rape, or robbery, or car accidents, and all the other different type of traumas. So they need to regain control of their world. And at Sahlgrenska University Hospital, in outpatient care for civilian PTSD patients, we tried giving them a relaxation therapy before they met the doctor. So knowing they're going to have to discuss difficult things, we saw if we can lower their hyperactive stress system. So many of them had higher blood pressure, so we wanted to see if we could lower blood pressure and pulse and increase well-being, which we managed to do. Other things we're trying to see is how to make the inpatient stay more humane. Some inpatient units have these sensory rooms, which are soft mats, cozy chairs, these beautiful nature-themed wallpapers, aroma smells, and star projections. So they are very popular, but not every ward has the ability or the capacity to have one. So we thought, how can we make each room a sensory room? And collaborated with Mimers while creating Calm Place. So now we are doing a semi-randomized controlled trial and comparing virtual and physical spaces to see how it helps patient well-being while they're in inpatient care. Another thing that you can do is simulate. Probably in life science, you've heard of simulators. In car industry, they simulate building cars. In psychiatry, we can simulate how we treat and how we meet patients who are anxious, who are aggressive, who have anxieties about being in an emergency care room. For example, here we have a digital copy of our psychiatric emergency. And here we can put scenarios where the staff can train on de-escalating a situation to make the patient more safe, but they make themselves also safer to avoid these aggressive conflicts. And those were just a few of the thousands of examples I can give you from both here in Sweden and globally, because it can be used for many, many purposes. It triggers emotions, as you've seen. It isn't expensive or complicated anymore. If you can handle a phone, you can handle one of these devices. And it's fun. It's really, really fun to work with this. You get to immerse in a world. If you have any questions, you are very welcome to contact me.